My name is Dr. Julianne Cross. I'm 33 years old. I'm the Associate Dean of Admissions at Wellington University, one of the most selective liberal arts colleges in the country. Every year, I review thousands of applications. Every year, I help decide who gets in and who doesn't. Every year, I hold the future of young people in my hands. And every year, I remember what it felt like to be the one who was told she didn't belong. 15 years ago, I was a junior at Westbrook High School in a small town in Connecticut. I was 16 years old. I wore thrift store clothes because my mother was a waitress and my father had left when I was 12. I carried a second-hand backpack that was falling apart. I ate free lunch in the cafeteria, the tray with the little check mark that everyone could see. And every single day, 3 girls made sure I knew I was nothing. They were the daughters of the town's most powerful families. Their fathers were lawyers, doctors, country club board members. Their mothers chaired charity galas and planned the annual Christmas parade. They wore designer jeans and drove new cars and laughed at me in the hallway like I was a joke they'd heard 100 times before. They called me names I won't repeat here. They spread rumors about me that followed me through every class. They threw my backpack in the trash. They poured orange juice on my seat in the cafeteria. They created a fake social media account to post pictures of me with captions that made me want to disappear. I didn't fight back. I didn't tell anyone. I was too ashamed. Too afraid. Too convinced that they were right, that I didn't belong. That I was nothing. 15 years later, I sat on the admissions board at Wellington University. And one of those girls, the one who had been the worst, the one who had made my life a living hell, she had a daughter. A daughter who had just applied to Wellington. A daughter whose entire future was about to be decided by the woman her mother had tried to destroy. Before I tell you what I decided, before I tell you whether that girl got in or not, I need you to understand what happened 15 years ago. I need you to understand what it felt like to be the girl who was told she was nothing. And I need you to understand how I became someone they never expected me to be. If you've ever been the one who was bullied, the one who was made to feel small, the one who was told you didn't belong, drop a raised hand in the comments. And tell me where you're watching from. I want to know who else has survived what I survived. Let me take you back. To Westbrook High School. To the hallway between 3rd and 4th period. To the day everything changed. Westbrook, Connecticut, was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone. A small town on the Long Island Sound, with a main street that looked like it belonged on a postcard and a high school that cost more to maintain than my mother made in a year. My mother, Diane Cross, worked double shifts at the Colonial Diner on Route 1. She was a waitress. A good one. The kind who remembered your order and called you hon and never complained about the blisters on her feet. She raised me alone after my father walked out. He was a contractor who'd found better work in another state. Or another woman. I never asked. She never said. We lived in a small apartment above a garage on the edge of town. It was 2 bedrooms. The walls were thin. The heat didn't always work. But it was ours. And my mother made it feel like home. She hung curtains she'd sewn herself. She planted flowers and coffee cans on the windowsill. She told me every night that I was going to be someone. That I was going to leave this town and never look back. I believed her. I had to. Because if I didn't believe her, I would have believed them. Them. The 3 girls who made my life hell. There was Brittany Ashworth. Her father was a cardiologist. Her mother was on the hospital board. Brittany was tall and blonde and had the kind of confidence that comes from never being told you're not enough. She was the leader. The one who decided who was in and who was out. And I was out. There was Madison Crane. Her family owned the biggest real estate agency in town. She was Brittany's shadow. The one who laughed loudest at Brittany's jokes, who repeated the rumors Brittany started, who made sure everyone heard them. And there was Chloe Winthrop. Chloe was the quiet one. The one who didn't say much, who stood behind the other 2, who smiled but didn't laugh. She was the daughter of a state senator. Her family had old money. The kind of money that didn't need to be talked about because it was everywhere. Chloe was the worst. Not because she was loud, but because she was smart. She knew exactly what to say. Exactly where to hit. She'd look at me in the hallway with those cold eyes and say something that would stick in my chest for days. Something small. Something precise. Something that no one else would even notice but that I would carry with me like a stone. "Nice sweater, Julianne." "Is it vintage?" she'd say, and everyone would laugh, and I'd look down at the faded fabric and want to disappear. "Did your mother get that shirt from the lost and found?" she'd whisper as I walked past, and I'd feel my face burn, and I'd walk faster, and I'd pretend I didn't hear. She never yelled. She never pushed. She never did anything that would get her in trouble. She was too smart for that. She knew how to hurt without leaving marks. The worst day was in October of junior year. I was in the bathroom between third and fourth period. The girls' bathroom on the second floor. The one with the flickering light and the stall door that didn't lock. I was washing my hands when they came in. I heard their voices before I saw them. Brittany's laugh. Madison's giggle. Chloe's quiet footsteps. I froze. My hands were wet. The water was running. I couldn't move. Well, Brittany said. "Look who's here." She walked up behind me. She looked at me in the mirror. I looked back. My face was pale. My hands were shaking. "You know," Brittany said, "some of us have been talking. And we think it's time you found a new place to eat lunch. The cafeteria is for people who actually belong here." "I have just as much right to be there as you," I said. My voice came out small. I hated how small it was. Brittany laughed. "Do you? Do you really think you belong with us? Look at yourself, Julianne. Look at what you're wearing. Look at where you live. Look at your mother." I flinched. I couldn't help it. She saw it. They all saw it. "Your mother serves food," Brittany said. "She doesn't get to decide who eats it. And neither do you." She reached over and turned off the water. She took the paper towel I was about to use and dropped it on the floor. "Find somewhere else," she said. "Starting today." She walked out. Madison followed. Chloe stayed for a moment. She looked at me in the mirror. Her face was blank. Unreadable. "You should listen to her," she said. "It's easier that way." Then she was gone. And I was alone in the bathroom, my hands wet, my face red, my chest so tight I couldn't breathe. I didn't go to the cafeteria that day. I found an empty classroom on the third floor. I sat in the dark and I ate the granola bar I had in my bag, and I told myself it didn't matter. That they didn't matter. That I was going to leave this town and never come back. But it did matter. It mattered because I was 16 and they were everything I wasn't. It mattered because every day they reminded me that I didn't belong. It mattered because somewhere, deep down, I started to believe them. The rumors started a week later. I heard them in the hallway. In the cafeteria. In the classroom before the bell rang. They were whispered behind hands. They were shared in group chats I wasn't part of. They were about me. That I was stealing from lockers. That I was sleeping with a janitor. That my mother was a drug addict. That I was pregnant. That I was going to drop out. That I was nothing. That I was nobody. Brittany started most of them. Madison spread them. Chloe made sure everyone believed them. I didn't know how to fight back. I didn't have the words. I didn't have the power. I was one girl with a second-hand backpack and a mother who worked double shifts. They were the daughters of the people who ran this town. So I did what I always did. I kept my head down. I did my work. I got A's. I read books in the library during lunch. I studied in empty classrooms. I waited for the day I could leave. My teachers noticed. Some of them. Mrs. Patterson, my English teacher. She was the one who saw me reading in the library when I was supposed to be in the cafeteria. She came and sat beside me one day. "Julianne," she said. "Why aren't you in the cafeteria?" "I'm not hungry," I said. She looked at me. She had kind eyes. The kind of eyes that saw things other people missed. "You don't have to tell me," she said. "But I want you to know something. Whatever they're saying about you, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do. What matters is who you become. And you, Julianne, are going to become someone they never expected." I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to tell her that I was drowning. That every day was a fight to get out of bed. That I was so tired of being the girl everyone laughed at. "I'm trying," I said. "I know," she said. "That's what makes you strong." She started bringing me lunch. Sandwiches. Apples. A cookie sometimes. She'd leave them on my desk before class. She never made a big deal about it. She never asked me to thank her. She just did it. Week after week. Month after month. She was the one who told me about Wellington University. About the early admission program. About the scholarship for first-generation college students. About the essay she thought I could write. "You have a voice, Julianne," she said. "You just haven't let anyone hear it yet." I wrote the essay in my bedroom above the garage. I wrote about the diner where my mother worked. About the girls who laughed at me. About the feeling of being invisible. About the day I realized that being invisible meant I could go anywhere. That no one was watching. That I was free. Mrs. Patterson edited it with me after school. She helped me find the words. She helped me make my voice louder. When I hit submit, I didn't think I would get in. I didn't think someone like me could get into a place like Wellington. But I had to try. Because if I didn't try, they would be right. And I couldn't let them be right. The acceptance letter came in December. I was in my room, studying for a history exam, when I heard the mail slot open downstairs. I didn't think anything of it. Mail was usually bills or junk. But my mother called up the stairs. Her voice was strange. Not her usual voice. Something else. "Julianne," she said. "Come down here." I went downstairs. She was standing by the door. She was holding a thick envelope. The return address said Wellington University. "You got in," she said. "You got in." I took the envelope. I opened it. I read the letter 3 times before I believed it. "Dear Julianne Cross, we are pleased to offer you admission to Wellington University." My mother was crying. I was crying. We stood in the small living room of our small apartment and we held each other and we cried. "You did it," she said. "You did it, baby." "We did it," I said. "You and me." That night, I went to my room. I looked at the letter. I looked at my reflection in the window. The girl looking back at me was the same girl who had been laughed at in the hallway. The same girl who had eaten lunch in empty classrooms. The same girl who had been told she was nothing. But she wasn't nothing. She was someone. She was going to be someone. And they, Brittany, Madison, Chloe, they were going to stay in this town. They were going to marry the boys their parents approved of. They were going to join the country club and plan the charity galas. They were going to live the lives they were born to live. And I was going to leave. I didn't tell anyone about Wellington. I didn't tell my teachers except Mrs. Patterson. I didn't tell the girls who laughed at me. I didn't tell them because I wanted to see their faces when they found out. I wanted to see them realize that the girl they tried to break had done something they couldn't undo. But I never got that moment. Because when I came back from winter break, everything changed. The fake Instagram account appeared on January 15th. It had my name. My picture. And captions that I won't repeat. Things about my mother. About me. About things that weren't true. Things that were cruel. Things that were designed to hurt. It spread through the school in hours. People were looking at me in the hallway. Whispering. Laughing. Pointing at their phones. I went to the principal's office. I told him about the account. I told him about the rumors. I told him about the girls who had been making my life hell for 2 years. He listened. He nodded. He said he would look into it. He didn't look into it. Because 3 days later, the account disappeared. And nothing happened to Brittany or Madison or Chloe. Nothing at all. Mrs. Patterson was furious. She went to the principal herself. She went to the superintendent. She made phone calls. She wrote emails. She fought for me in ways no one had ever fought for me. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The account was gone, but the screenshots weren't. The screenshots lived on. They got forwarded. They got saved. They got shown to people who hadn't seen them the first time. I stopped going to the cafeteria. I stopped going to the library. I stopped going to anywhere there were people. I went to Mrs. Patterson's classroom during lunch. She let me sit in the back and read and pretend that the world outside didn't exist. The day of the spring concert, something happened. Something I didn't expect. I was walking home. It was a Friday. The air was warm. The trees were starting to bloom. I took the long way, past the high school, past the football field, past the parking lot where the girls with the new cars parked their cars. And there she was. Chloe Winthrop. Alone. Standing by her car. She was crying. I should have kept walking. I should have pretended I didn't see her. Every instinct told me to cross the street, to disappear, to be invisible the way she had made me invisible. But I didn't. I stopped. I looked at her. She looked at me. "What do you want?" she said. Her voice was sharp. But her face was wet. "Nothing," I said. I was walking home. She wiped her face. She tried to look like she wasn't crying. But she was. She was crying the way I had cried in empty classrooms. The way I had cried in the bathroom after they left. "I'm fine," she said. "Just go away." I didn't go away. I stood there. I looked at her. And for a moment, I saw something I hadn't seen before. Not the girl who had whispered cruel things in the hallway. Something else. Something behind the mask. "Are you okay?" I asked. She laughed. It was a bitter sound. "Why do you care?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe because no one ever asked me." She looked at me. Really looked. Her eyes were red. Her face was pale. She looked like someone who had been carrying something heavy for a very long time. "I got into Stanford," she said. "Early admission. My father's alma mater. He's so proud. He's been telling everyone." "That's great," I said. "It's not great," she said. "I don't want to go to Stanford. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to marry someone my father approves of. I don't want to live the life they've planned for me. But I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to be anyone else." I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. This girl had made my life hell. She had laughed at me. She had spread rumors about me. She had watched Brittany pour orange juice on my seat and done nothing. But she was also 16. She was also trapped. She was also trying to figure out who she was. "You could go somewhere else," I said. "You could say no." "You don't understand," she said. "You don't know what it's like. You don't have anyone expecting anything from you. You're free." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "I'm free? You think I'm free? You think having nothing means I'm free?" She looked at me. She saw my face. Maybe she saw something she hadn't seen before. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said. You think because my mother is a waitress and I live above a garage, I don't have anything to lose. But I have everything to lose. I have everything I've worked for. Everything I've earned. Everything I've taken from people who told me I couldn't have it. She didn't say anything. She stood there, by her car, her face wet, her hands shaking. I'm sorry, she said again. For everything. For the things I said. For the things I didn't stop. For. Don't, I said. Don't apologize because you're having a bad day. Don't apologize because you're sad about Stanford. Apologize because you mean it. Apologize because you're willing to change. Apologize because you're going to do something different. She looked at me. She didn't say anything. I turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw her. I graduated in June. I went to Wellington in the fall. I never looked back. But I never forgot that moment. The moment when Chloe Winthrop stood by her car and cried and told me I was free. The moment when I realized that the girls who had made my life hell weren't monsters. They were people. Flawed, broken, scared people who had been handed everything and didn't know what to do with it. That didn't make what they did okay. It didn't undo the years of hurt. But it made me understand something. Something that would matter 15 years later, when Chloe Winthrop's daughter applied to my college. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the 15 years between that spring day and the day I sat on the admissions board, that's where I became someone. That's where I built a life that none of them could have imagined. If you've ever been the one who was told you didn't belong, and you proved them wrong, type proved in the comments. Let me know you understand. I left Westbrook the day after graduation. I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases and a garbage bag. My mother stood at the door of our apartment above the garage, her hands wrapped around a coffee mug, her eyes red from crying. You're going to do great things, she said. I'm going to try. Don't try. Do. You've been doing your whole life. Don't stop now. I hugged her. I held on longer than I usually did. I didn't know when I would see her again. I didn't know when I would come back to this town, to this apartment, to this life that had been so small and so hard and so much mine. She pressed an envelope into my hand. It was thick. Heavy. What's this? Just something to get you started. Don't argue. Don't give it back. Just take it. I opened it later, on the bus to Wellington. There was $500 inside. $500 in 20s and 10s and 5s. Money she had saved from tips. Money she had hidden in a coffee can in the cupboard. Money she had been putting aside for years, waiting for this moment. I sat on that bus, holding that envelope, and I cried. I cried for my mother, who had given me everything. I cried for the girl I had been, the girl who ate lunch in empty classrooms, the girl who was told she was nothing. And I cried for the woman I was going to become, the woman who was going to prove them all wrong. Wellington was a different world. The campus looked like something from a movie. Brick buildings with ivy climbing the walls. Green lawns that stretched for acres. Students in expensive sweaters and designer backpacks, walking to classes I couldn't have imagined in high school. I didn't belong there. That's what I told myself the first week. I didn't belong in these classrooms. I didn't belong in this dining hall. I didn't belong in this dorm with my second-hand sheets and my thrift store clothes and my $500 that was supposed to last me through the semester. But I was good at pretending. I had been pretending my whole life. Pretending I didn't hear the whispers. Pretending I didn't see the looks. Pretending I wasn't afraid. So I pretended I belonged. I went to class. I sat in the front row. I raised my hand. I asked questions. I stayed after to talk to professors. I went to office hours. I made them see me. And slowly, something happened. The pretending stopped being pretending. I started to believe that I belonged. I started to believe that I was smart enough, good enough, strong enough. I started to believe that the girl from Westbrook, the girl who ate free lunch, the girl who lived above a garage, she could be someone. I majored in political science. I minored in education policy. I wrote papers about inequality in public schools. I researched the way that zip codes determine futures. I studied the systems that keep kids like me out of places like Wellington. I graduated summa cum laude. I was the first person in my family to get a college degree. My mother came to graduation. She wore a dress she'd bought at the thrift store. She sat in the front row. She cried through the whole ceremony. When I walked across the stage, I looked out at the audience. I saw her face. I saw Mrs. Patterson's face. She had driven down from Westbrook, 3 hours in her old car, just to see me. And I saw my own face, reflected in the glossy program, the face of a girl who had been told she was nothing, now holding a degree from one of the best colleges in the country. I didn't think about Brittany or Madison or Chloe. I didn't think about the girls who had made my life hell. I thought about my mother. I thought about Mrs. Patterson. I thought about the woman I had become. After graduation, I went to graduate school at Columbia. I got my master's in higher education administration. I studied admissions policies. I researched the way colleges decide who gets in and who doesn't. I learned about the systems that privilege some students and penalize others. I learned about legacy admissions. About donor preferences. About the way that wealth and connections can open doors that are closed to everyone else. I thought about Brittany Ashworth, whose father was a cardiologist. About Madison Crane, whose family owned half the town. About Chloe Winthrop, whose father was a state senator. I thought about the schools they would go to, the jobs they would get, the lives they would live, not because they were smarter or harder working, but because they had been born into a world that was built for them. And I thought about myself. About the girl who had to fight for every grade, every scholarship, every opportunity. About the girl who had been told she didn't belong. I decided I wanted to change the system. I wanted to make sure that kids like me, kids who didn't have money or connections or legacy status, had a chance. I wanted to be the person who opened doors instead of closing them. After graduate school, I got a job in the admissions office at Wellington. I started as an assistant. I read applications. I reviewed files. I learned how decisions were made. I was good at it. I could see things in applications that other people missed. I could see the student behind the grades, the person behind the test scores. I could see the ones who had fought for everything they had. I was promoted to associate director. Then to director of outreach. Then, when I was 32, to associate dean of admissions. I was one of the youngest people to hold the position in the college's history. I was the one who helped decide who got in. I was the one who read the essays, reviewed the recommendations, made the calls. I was the one who sat on the board that made the final decisions. Every year, I saw applications from students like me. Students from small towns, from families that didn't have money, from schools that didn't have resources. Students who had overcome things that the children of privilege would never understand. And every year, I fought for them. I made sure they were seen. I made sure they had a chance. I didn't think about Westbrook. Not often. I had built a new life, a life that had nothing to do with the girls who had laughed at me in the hallway. I had a career I loved. I had friends who didn't know me as the girl who ate free lunch. I had a small apartment in the city, a cat named Fitzgerald, and a future that was mine. My mother was still in Westbrook. She was still at the diner. Her hands were still cracked from the work. But she was proud of me. She told everyone who came in about her daughter, the dean, the one who was going to change the world. I went home for Christmas every year. I drove past the high school. I saw the football field where they had cheered and I had sat alone. I saw the parking lot where Chloe had cried by her car. I saw the town that had been so small and so hard and so much mine. But I never went inside. I never went to reunions. I never looked up the girls who had made my life hell. I didn't need to. I had left them behind. I had become someone they couldn't touch. That's what I told myself. That I had left them behind. That I was free. The application came in November. I was in my office, working through the early decision files. There were hundreds of them. Stacks of paper, each one representing a student, a family, a future. I read them carefully. I looked for the ones who deserved a chance. I picked up the next file. I opened it. I read the name at the top. Emma Winthrop. Westbrook, Connecticut. I stared at the name. I read it again. Emma Winthrop. Westbrook. The same town. The same last name. I turned to the family information section. Parents, Senator William Winthrop and Mrs. Chloe Winthrop. Chloe. The girl who had stood by her car and cried. The girl who had told me I was free. The girl who had whispered cruel things in the hallway and watched Brittany pour orange juice on my seat and done nothing. I sat back in my chair. I looked at the file. I looked at the name. I thought about the girl who had made my life hell. And I thought about her daughter. A 17-year-old girl who had no idea that the woman reading her application was the woman her mother had tried to destroy. I closed the file. I put it on the bottom of the stack. I told myself I would come back to it later. I needed time. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what I was going to do. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Fitzgerald curled up beside me. I thought about Chloe. About the last time I saw her, standing by her car, crying about Stanford. About the words she said. You're free. She wasn't free. She had never been free. She was trapped in a life she didn't choose, in a town she couldn't leave, in a family that had planned everything for her. She had been handed everything and she had nothing. Nothing that was hers. Nothing that she had earned. I thought about her daughter. Emma. A 17-year-old girl who had grown up in Westbrook, who had gone to the same high school, who had walked the same hallways. A girl who had no idea what her mother had done. A girl who was applying to Wellington because maybe, somewhere, she wanted to be free too. I thought about what I would do. What I should do. What I could do. I could reject her application. I could do it quietly. No one would know. No one would question it. There were hundreds of applicants. She would go somewhere else. She would never know that the woman who read her file was the woman her mother had tried to destroy. I could accept her application. I could be the bigger person. I could give her the chance that her mother had never given me. I could prove that I was better than the girls who had hurt me. I could recuse myself. I could pass the file to someone else. I could let someone else make the decision. I could wash my hands of it. I could pretend that Emma Winthrop was just another name on a stack of files. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was right. I didn't know what was fair. I thought about Mrs. Patterson. About the sandwiches she brought me. About the essay she helped me write. About the words she said. You have a voice, Julianne. You just haven't let anyone hear it yet. I had a voice. I had power. I had the ability to decide someone's future. And I had to decide what kind of person I was going to be. I went to work the next morning. I went to my office. I pulled Emma Winthrop's file from the bottom of the stack. I opened it. I read it. She was a good student. Not perfect. Her grades were solid, but not exceptional. Her test scores were above average, but not the best in the applicant pool. She had extracurriculars, student council, debate team, volunteer work at a local shelter. The kind of profile that could go either way. The kind of profile that needed someone to fight for her. I read her essay. It was about growing up in a small town. About feeling trapped. About wanting to leave. About wanting to be someone. My family has lived in this town for 4 generations, she wrote. Everyone knows my name. Everyone knows what I'm supposed to be. But I don't want to be what they expect. I want to be myself. I want to go somewhere no one knows my name. I want to build something that is mine. I read the essay 3 times. I thought about Chloe. About the words she said in the parking lot. I don't want to go to Stanford. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to marry someone my father approves of. I don't want to live the life they'd planned for me. Emma was her mother's daughter. She was the same girl who had cried by her car. The same girl who didn't know how to say no. The same girl who was trapped. I put the file down. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The campus was gray with November. The leaves were falling. The students were walking to class, their heads down against the cold. I thought about what I would do. I thought about what I should do. I thought about what I would have wanted someone to do for me. The admissions board meeting was on a Tuesday. We sat around a long table, 12 of us, the people who decide who gets into Wellington. The files were stacked in front of us. The decisions had to be made. We went through the early decision files one by one. We discussed each applicant. We argued. We debated. We made calls. When we got to Emma Winthrop's file, the discussion was brief. Her grades were solid. Her test scores were fine. Her essay was strong. But there were other applicants with stronger profiles. Other applicants who had done more, achieved more, overcome more. I'm not sure she's a strong enough candidate for early decision, one of the other board members said. Maybe she'd be a better fit for the regular decision pool. There were nods around the table. It was a reasonable suggestion. There were hundreds of applicants. Not everyone could get in. I looked at the file. I looked at Emma's face. Her senior photo. She looked like her mother. The same dark hair. The same sharp features. The same eyes. I thought about Chloe. About the parking lot. About the words she said. You're free. I thought about the girl I had been. The girl who was told she didn't belong. The girl who was given a chance. I think we should take a closer look, I said. The room went quiet. I didn't speak often in these meetings. I was the associate dean, but I was also the youngest person at the table. I had earned their respect, but I didn't throw my weight around. Her grades are good, I said. Not the best. But good. Her test scores are above average. But what stands out to me is her essay. She's writing about something real. Something honest. She's not performing. She's not telling us what she thinks we want to hear. She's telling us who she is. I read a passage from the essay. I don't want to be what they expect. I want to build something that is mine. She's a first-generation applicant, I said. Her parents went to Ivy League schools. But she's the first person in her family who wants something different. She's the first person who wants to choose her own path. That takes courage. That takes the kind of character we say we're looking for. The board members looked at each other. They considered. You think she's a yes? The dean asked. I looked at the file. I looked at Emma's face. I thought about the girl who had cried in the parking lot. I thought about the girl who had eaten lunch in empty classrooms. I thought about the girl who had been given a chance. Yes, I said. I think she's a yes. The vote was unanimous. Emma Winthrop was admitted early decision to Wellington University. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel bad about it. I felt something else. Something I didn't have a word for. I had made a choice. I had chosen to give her a chance. I had chosen to be the person who opened a door instead of closing it. I had chosen to be better than the girls who had hurt me. But I didn't know if it was the right choice. I didn't know if I had done it for Emma or for myself. I didn't know if I had done it because she deserved it or because I wanted to prove that I was better. I didn't know. And I wouldn't know for a long time. The letter went out in December. Emma Winthrop was accepted to Wellington University. She would start in the fall. She would be a freshman. She would walk the same campus I had walked. She would sit in the same classrooms. She would have a chance to become whoever she wanted to be. I didn't think about Chloe. I tried not to. But I couldn't stop. I thought about what she would feel when she opened that letter. What she would feel when she read the words, "We are pleased to offer you admission." Would she be proud? Would she be scared? Would she see her daughter's acceptance as a chance to escape the life she had been trapped in? I didn't know. I didn't know if Chloe had changed. I didn't know if she was still the girl who whispered cruel things in the hallway. I didn't know if she had become someone else. Someone who was sorry. Someone who was different. But I knew that her daughter was not her. Her daughter was a 17-year-old girl who wanted to be free. Who wanted to build something that was hers. Who deserved a chance. And I had given her that chance. Not because of what Chloe had done. Not because of what I had survived. But because it was the right thing to do. Because every student deserves someone to fight for them. Because I had promised myself, years ago, that I would be the person who opened doors instead of closing them. The acceptance letters went out on December 15th. I sat in my office that evening, alone, watching the snow fall on the campus. Fitzgerald was curled up on my desk, sleeping. The building was quiet. I thought about my mother. About the coffee can with the $500. About the bus ride to Wellington. About the girl who had been told she was nothing and had become someone. I thought about Mrs. Patterson. About the sandwiches she brought me. About the essay she helped me write. About the words she said. "You have a voice, Julianne. You just haven't let anyone hear it yet." I had a voice. I had used it. I had given a girl a chance that someone had once given me. And I didn't know if it was the right choice. But I knew it was the choice I had to make. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the letter I received from Emma, the phone call from Chloe, the conversation that changed everything, that's the part of this story I didn't expect. If you've ever had to make a choice that you didn't know was right or wrong, type choice in the comments. Let me know you understand. The letter came in March. It was a Tuesday. I was in my office, working through the regular decision files, when the campus mail arrived. Among the envelopes and packages was a cream-colored envelope addressed to me in handwriting I didn't recognize. No return address. Just my name, my title, the address of the admissions office. I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The handwriting was the same. Looping. Careful. The handwriting of someone who had been taught to write thank you notes before she could write her own name. Dear Dr. Cross. You don't know me. My name is Emma Winthrop. I'm the girl whose application you fought for at the admissions board meeting. I know this because my mother knows someone on the board. She heard what happened. She heard that you were the one who spoke up for me when no one else would. I wanted to thank you. Not just for admitting me to Wellington. But for seeing something in my essay that I didn't know was there. You wrote in my acceptance letter that my essay showed the courage to choose a different path. I'd been thinking about those words for 3 months. I didn't know I had courage. I didn't know I was choosing anything. I just wrote what I felt. I'm leaving Westbrook in the fall. I'm going to Wellington. I'm going to be the first person in my family to go somewhere that wasn't chosen for me. And I wanted you to know that I wouldn't be doing it without you. Thank you for seeing me. Emma Winthrop. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it down. I sat at my desk. I looked out the window at the campus, gray with March rain, the trees bare, the students walking with their heads down. Emma Winthrop. The girl whose mother had made my life hell. The girl who had no idea what her mother had done. The girl who was thanking me for seeing her. I thought about what I would say to her. If I could say anything. If I should say anything. If the truth would help her or hurt her. If it was mine to tell. I folded the letter. I put it in my desk drawer. I told myself I would answer it later. I told myself I would find the right words. I told myself I would figure out what to say. I didn't answer the letter. Not right away. I carried it with me for weeks. In my bag. On my desk. In my head. I thought about Emma. About her words. About the courage she didn't know she had. I thought about Chloe. About the girl who had cried by her car. About the woman she had become. About whether she had changed. About whether she was still the person who whispered cruel things in the hallway. I thought about what I would say to Emma if I wrote back. Your mother and I went to high school together. That was true. We didn't get along. That was also true. She hurt me. She hurt me in ways I still carry. That was true too. But what would that do to Emma? What would it do to a 17-year-old girl who was about to leave her family, her town, her life, to start something new? What would it do to her to know that the woman who had given her a chance was the woman her mother had tried to destroy? I didn't know. I didn't know what was right. I didn't know what was fair. The phone call came in April. I was in my office, late, finishing up for the day. The phone rang. I picked it up without looking at the caller ID. Julianne Cross. There was a pause. A breath. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 15 years. Julianne. It's Chloe. Chloe Winthrop. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My hand was frozen on the phone. My heart was beating too fast. My chest was tight. Julianne? Are you there? I'm here. Another pause. Another breath. I know you don't owe me anything. I know you probably don't want to talk to me. But I needed to call. I needed to thank you. I didn't say anything. I waited. Emma told me about the letter she wrote you. She told me about your response. She said you wrote back. She said you told her that you saw yourself in her essay. That you understood what it meant to want something different. That you believed in her. I had written that letter. A month ago. I had sat at my desk and I had written to Emma Winthrop as if she were any other student. As if her mother hadn't made my life hell. As if I didn't carry the weight of what had happened in every hallway I walked. Dear Emma. Thank you for your letter. It meant more than you know. I saw myself in your essay because I was you. I was the girl who wanted something different. I was the girl who was told she couldn't have it. And I was the girl who got a chance. I'm giving you that same chance. Don't waste it. Dr. Cross. It was simple. It was true. It was everything I wanted to say. Emma doesn't know, Chloe said. About what happened. About what I did. She doesn't know any of it. I waited. I let her talk. I let her fill the silence. I didn't tell her. I couldn't. I didn't know how. How do you tell your daughter that you were the kind of person who made someone else's life hell? How do you tell her that the woman who gave her a chance was the woman you tried to destroy? You don't, I said. You don't tell her. You don't tell her because it's not about you. It's about her. It's about the chance she deserves. Chloe was quiet for a moment. Then I heard something I didn't expect. A sound that cracked through the phone line, through the years, through everything that had happened between us. She was crying. I've thought about you, she said. Over the years. I've thought about what I did. About what we did. About the things I said. The things I didn't stop. The things I let happen. I didn't say anything. I let her talk. I let her say what she had been carrying for 15 years. I was so scared, she said. I was so scared of being who I was. Of wanting something different. Of being someone they didn't expect. And I took it out on you. Because you were free. You were everything I wasn't. You had nothing and you were still going to be someone. And I had everything and I was nothing. I was nothing, Julianne. And I hated you for it. I closed my eyes. I remembered the parking lot. The spring air. The tears on her face. The words she said. You're free. I know, I said. I know you were scared. I know you were trapped. I know you didn't know how to be anything else. But that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't undo what you did. I know, she said. I know it doesn't. I've spent 15 years trying to undo it. Trying to be someone else. Trying to be the kind of person my daughter can be proud of. And I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'll ever be there. But I'm trying. I'm trying every day. I thought about Emma. About the essay she wrote. About the courage she didn't know she had. About the chance she deserved. Your daughter, I said. She's not you. She's not the person you were. She's someone different. Someone who wants something different. Someone who has the courage to choose it. I know, Chloe said. She's everything I wasn't. She's everything I wanted to be. Then let her be that. Let her go. Let her become whoever she's going to become. Don't hold her back. Don't make her carry what you carried. Chloe was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was small. Small like the girl who had cried by her car. Small like the girl who didn't know how to say no. I'm sorry, Julianne. For everything. For the things I said. For the things I didn't stop. For the way I made you feel. For all of it. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The campus was dark. The lights were on in the library, in the dormitories, in the buildings where students were studying, dreaming, becoming. I forgive you, I said. I didn't know I was going to say it. The words came out before I could stop them. But they were true. They were true in a way I hadn't let myself feel before. I forgive you, Chloe. Not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was okay. But because I don't want to carry it anymore. Because I've spent 15 years carrying something that wasn't mine to carry. And I'm tired. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of being the person who was broken and had to fix herself alone. Chloe was crying. I was crying. We sat on the phone, 15 years apart, 15 years of silence between us, and we cried. Thank you, she said. Thank you for giving my daughter a chance. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for being the person I never could be. Be that person now, I said. Be that person for your daughter. Be the person who lets her go. Be the person who loves her enough to set her free. I will, she said. I will. We hung up. I sat at my desk. The campus was quiet. The snow was starting to fall. Fitzgerald was asleep on my desk, curled up on a stack of files, his tail twitching in his dreams. I thought about the girl I had been. The girl who ate lunch in empty classrooms. The girl who was told she was nothing. The girl who had fought for everything she had. And I thought about the woman I had become. The woman who gave chances instead of closing doors. The woman who forgave when she didn't have to. The woman who was free. Emma Winthrop started at Wellington in the fall. I saw her on campus sometimes. Walking to class. Sitting on the lawn. Studying in the library. She looked like her mother. The same dark hair. The same sharp features. The same eyes. But she was different. She was lighter. She walked like someone who was learning to be herself. She laughed with friends who didn't know her family, her town, her past. She was becoming someone new. Someone she chose to be. I didn't seek her out. I didn't avoid her. I let her be. I let her find her own way. I let her become whoever she was going to become. But sometimes, when I saw her on campus, I remembered the essay she wrote. I want to build something that is mine. And I thought about the girl who had written those words. The girl who had the courage to choose a different path. The girl who was going to be someone. In the spring of her freshman year, I got another letter from Emma. This one was different. Longer. Messier. The handwriting was looser, less careful, more like the girl she was becoming. Dear Dr. Cross. I don't know if you remember me. I'm Emma Winthrop. The girl from Westbrook. The one who wrote you that letter last year. I wanted to tell you something. I love it here. I love the classes. I love the library. I love the way no one knows my name. I love that I can be whoever I want to be. I've been thinking about what you wrote in your letter. About being the girl who wanted something different. About being the girl who was told she couldn't have it. I didn't understand what you meant when I first read it. But I think I understand now. My mother told me. About what happened. About what she did. About the way she treated you in high school. She told me everything. She told me because she didn't want me to find out from someone else. She told me because she wanted me to know who she was before she became who she is. I was angry. I was so angry. I didn't want to believe that my mother could do something like that. That she could be that person. That she could hurt someone the way she hurt you. But I also understood. I understood because I've seen her. I've seen the way she carries what she did. I've seen the way she tries to be better. I've seen the way she loves me enough to let me go. I'm not writing to apologize for her. That's not my place. I'm writing to thank you. For being the person who gave me a chance. For being the person who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. For being the person who forgave my mother when she didn't deserve it. You told me you saw yourself in my essay. I want you to know that I see myself in you. I want to be the kind of person who opens doors instead of closing them. I want to be the kind of person who forgives. I want to be the kind of person who is free. Thank you for showing me how. Emma. I read the letter in my office. The sun was setting. The campus was gold with spring light. The students were outside, sitting on the lawn, laughing, studying, being young. I folded the letter. I put it in my desk drawer. Next to the first letter. Next to the essay I had saved. Next to the memory of a girl who had been told she was nothing and had become someone. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. Emma Winthrop was going to be fine. She was going to be more than fine. She was going to be the kind of person who changed things. The kind of person who made the world better. The kind of person I had wanted to be when I was her age. And I was proud. Proud of her. Proud of myself. Proud of the woman who had made a choice that changed a life. I went home to Westbrook that summer. I drove through the town I had left 15 years ago. The same main street. The same postcard houses. The same high school where I had been laughed at, ignored, forgotten. I drove past the diner where my mother still worked. She was inside, pouring coffee, laughing with a customer. She looked older. Her hair was gray. Her hands were more cracked than I remembered. But she was still there. Still working. Still giving everything she had. I parked the car. I walked into the diner. My mother saw me. Her face lit up. The way it always lit up when she saw me. Julianne, she said. What are you doing here? I came to see you, I said. I came to see home. She hugged me. She smelled like coffee and bacon and the perfume she wore for special occasions. She held me like she used to hold me when I was little. When I was scared. When I was the girl who didn't belong. "I'm proud of you," she said. "I'm so proud of you." "I'm proud of you too," I said. "I'm proud of us." We sat in the booth by the window. The one where I used to sit after school, doing my homework while she finished her shift. The one where I dreamed of leaving this town, this life, this version of myself. She asked me about work. About Wellington. About the students I helped. I told her about Emma. About the letter. About the choice I made. She listened. She didn't interrupt. She just listened the way she had always listened. "You did the right thing," she said when I finished. "You gave that girl a chance. You gave her the chance someone gave you. Was it the right thing? I don't know. I don't know if I did it for her or for me. I don't know if I did it because she deserved it or because I wanted to prove something." My mother looked at me. She reached across the table. She took my hand. "You did it because you're you," she said. "Because you're the kind of person who helps people. Because you're the kind of person who sees something in others that they can't see in themselves. Because you're the kind of person your father and I raised. And that's enough. That's always been enough." I started to cry. I didn't know why. I had been holding something for 15 years. Something I didn't have a name for. Something that was finally letting go. After the diner, I drove to the high school. It was summer. The parking lot was empty. The fields were quiet. I walked through the doors, past the front office, down the hallway where they had laughed at me, where they had whispered, where they had made me feel small. I stopped at the door of Mrs. Patterson's classroom. It was closed. The lights were off. But there was a light on in the office next door. I knocked. The door opened. Mrs. Patterson was there. She was older now. Her hair was white. Her face was lined. But her eyes were the same. Kind. Seeing. "Julianne," she said. "I was wondering when you'd come." "You were?" "I heard about the Winthrop girl. I heard about what you did. Someone from the admissions office called. They told me you were the one who fought for her. They told me you were the one who gave her a chance." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. "I knew you would," she said. "I knew when you were 16, sitting in my classroom, eating the sandwiches I brought you. I knew you would become someone who helped people. I knew you would become someone who changed things. I knew you would become someone who made the world better." I started crying again. I couldn't stop. Mrs. Patterson put her arms around me. She held me the way she had held me when I was 16. When I was scared. When I was the girl who didn't belong. "You did it," she said. "You did it, Julianne. You became someone. You became someone extraordinary." "I became you," I said. "I became the person who sees something in others that they can't see in themselves." She smiled. She was crying too. "That's the best thing anyone has ever said to me," she said. I drove home that night. The sun was setting. The town was quiet. I drove past the house where Brittany Ashworth had lived. The house where Madison Crane had lived. The house where Chloe Winthrop had lived. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt something else. Something I didn't have a name for. Something that felt like peace. I thought about the girls who had made my life hell. Brittany, who had probably married a doctor and joined the country club. Madison, who had probably taken over her father's business. Chloe, who was trying to be someone different. Someone better. I thought about the girl I had been. The girl who ate lunch in empty classrooms. The girl who was told she was nothing. The girl who had fought for everything she had. And I thought about the woman I had become. The woman who gave chances instead of closing doors. The woman who forgave when she didn't have to. The woman who was free. I was free. I had always been free. Even when they laughed at me. Even when they whispered. Even when they made me feel small. I was free. Because I was the one who decided who I was. Not them. Not the town. Not the girls who had everything and gave nothing. I was the one who decided. And I decided to be someone. I decided to be someone who helped people. I decided to be someone who changed things. I decided to be someone who made the world better. And I did. I did all of it. I became someone. I became someone extraordinary. Here's what I've learned. Not because they deserve it. Because you do. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose between revenge and forgiveness, leave a comment. Tell me your story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. I have more stories to tell. And I want you to be here for them. My name is Dr. Julianne Cross. I open doors. I give chances. I forgive. And I am free.